The seeker should not quit until he finds. That's me. And that's so many of you looking to better yourself physically, emotionally, in balance, spiritually, and maybe even financially. It's senseless to make all this money and feel sick, feel fatigued, feel tired, and ache. It's just not what we are supposed to be doing. So it's with that, I sent out on my crusade, if you will, to straighten my poor old body that I had put in such a pickle over the years. And I looked at it and I said, really, I don't like what I'm doing here. So what do I need to do to straighten this thing out? Do I want to go into the next 20 years in the shape that I've got myself into? And I decided not to. The rules are kind of simple. They're ugly. Out of 1,000 people at the ripe old age of 60, only one will be free of pharmaceuticals. I saw what the world of pharmaceuticals do. I wasn't interested in it. And if we were not designed to be sick, then what does it take to be healthy? And it's just very, very simple. So it's with that I was really disturbed when I dug into this thing. Because what I had accepted and what I knew from a collegiate background, what we learned probably wasn't quite packaged correctly. There was an awful lot of theater in making things easy and convenient and obviously cheap. Well, the manufacturer had to make it so he could keep it on the shelves forever and without losing any value. The Twinkie craze, if you will, is still good after a couple of years. And these things, if we understood them and understood what they were doing to us, because they have really highly paid chemists trying to figure out which will keep you and I buying their product. It's with that I found some of the most disturbing things. First of all, let me take you back a few years to 19 and maybe 38 or something like that. And all at once we found that when this transition of foods was being done, and we found that we were buying highly processed food, the genetic modifying was coming into play. They were trying to make something more resistant to disease and make it bigger because of volume is very, very important to us. When they did this, they took the realness out of it. In other words, they genetically modified something to where your body didn't recognize it, but it said food on it. And we bought into that stuff. It didn't break down. Your body looked at it and said, well, I don't recognize this. So it began to store things. And let me give you a couple of examples. If you're taking calcium in the form of a inorganic salt mineral, it's not real. There is no delivery system to it. Your body looks at it and says, I'm not supposed to be having rocks for dinner. And so it begins to store that stuff. And in some of the darndest of areas, such as arteries, such as kidneys, we all hear of kidney stones. Perhaps the makeup of these things, but it takes years and years and years to all at once come by this. And then we rationalize it. And we say, well, this is just, the way life is. Excuse me, it's not the way life is. If we find ourselves taking care and not only having a little bit of knowledge, but understanding, you will find a much different lifestyle. You will find one that's more flexible, where your blood pressure might come down if you could eliminate the plaque buildup in your arteries caused from what you eat. And again, the strangest subject, physicians, Western physicians, tell us that 95% of all diseases could be eliminated if we change our diet. Wow. A mild change of diet would allow me the freedoms that I really want. So we work for 50 years, if you will, and spend the next 20, 30 years, whatever it is, in pain and taking pharmaceuticals. We've eliminated the greater part of our life, and I know this to be true because I'm living it. I want you to know that when you begin to have organic foods and understand how energy is made, your life changes. You become more flexible. Your endurance goes up. You don't have the emotional roller coaster that comes along. Along with that, you don't forget things. No one said that as we age, we were supposed to become dumb, demented, and can't remember things. But we throw that in that barrel and we become part of that, and it's just because part of the aging process. I encourage you not to believe that. So how would we go about changing that? Let me give you just a little recipe here. On the right side, you can see a diet or a bunch of foods. You look at these things, they're highly processed. They're inorganic. They're boxed cereals. They're synthetic vitamins. And then we're asking our body to build energy from that. And when we don't build energy and our body begins to die because it's not fed correctly, then we look at society and say, well, this pain is too great. I need the pharmaceutical side. Or on the other side, looking at a breakfast that I make, I throw a little bit of rolled oats because rolled oats really are phenomenal at extracting toxins from your gut. So if we throw a little bit of that in, and then if you'll notice, there's a lot of seeds and a lot of nuts. Within those two elements, loaded with essential fatty acids, loaded with energy, good protein, breaks down, it's all organic. And by the way, from a financial viewpoint, it's really inexpensive. So you've got a foundation to go from rather than buying something that's in boxed form. If you're going to continue in this and you want to enjoy a lifestyle that is really fun, change your diet. And we know that that's a problem. We're going to address that along the lines of what proteins, how do you make energy, how do you make these things work better for you. In fact, the lady in the corner, she talks about getting in a tub filled with Fruit Loops and milk. Well, that's quite an advertising gimmick. But on the other side of the coin, and let me move over here so you can see it, is a bottle of Fruit Loops. Now, those Fruit Loops are in real food form, and there is a significant difference. They taste better. They're better for you. In fact, you'll eat less of them because the nutrients are dense, and it just manages to clean the body, begins to heal tissue internally. And the next thing you know, you've got yourself feeling really good. Your energy goes through the ceiling, and this is the beginning. Now, we understand that supplementation, based on the seed where you plant it, so the health of the plant has got to be not only in the seed, but in the soil that you planted in, and we have really done a number on our soils. So we're going to look into the future and find out what kind of thing we can do to help you, which helped me. I did this, for mine first, and you will find some very, very interesting approaches to health.